Hello guys, welcome back. In this video we are going to have an overview of the differences between the SQL and NoSQL databases. So let's start. First of all, we will go through the SQL. SQL is a standard language for storing, manipulating and retrieving data in the databases. The data in RDBMS is stored in database objects called tables. Here the RDBMS stands for Relational Database Management Systems, the examples of which are SQL Server, MySQL, Oracle, etc. The table is a collection of related data entries and it consists of columns and rows. Now the entire data inside the SQL database is strictly defined by the tables, columns, indexes and relationships between the tables and other database elements. The SQL database is SQL language is designed in a way that it is easiest to scale up with fastest hardware rather than scaling out with more number of server nodes. And the optimization of performance requires the optimization of queries, indexes and table structure to achieve the peak performance. So in order to sum up the characteristics of the SQL, SQL is standard language used for storing, manipulating and retrieving data in databases. The data is stored by RDBMS, examples of which are given here. In the tables, which are defined by schema, it is easiest to scale up, and the optimization requires the improved indexing, queries, table structure, etc. And the SQL keywords are not case sensitive. Apart from this, there are two other features that relational databases requires the schema to be defined before we can add the data, and this becomes a disadvantage as each time we add new features the schema needs to change and we will need to add that column or additional feature to the schema and then migrate the entire database to the new schema, which is a slow process and involves downtime. So this is a major con associated with it. Apart from that, the traditional relational database management systems support a set of properties defined by the acronym ACID, which stands for atomicity, consistency, isolation and durability. Now traditional RDMS supports ACID. So atomicity literally means all or nothing, and here it means that a transaction executes completely or not at all. The consistency means that once a transaction has been committed, the data must conform to the database schema, otherwise it won't be accepted. Here isolation requires that the concurrent transactions execute separately from one another, and the durability is the ability to recover from an unexpected system failure or power outage to the last known state. So this is where the requirement of a NoSQL database arises, as all these features quite limit the feasibility or scalability of a structured query language in a relational database manner, as in order to maintain the ACID properties it has to pass through various parameters which limits its performance, and also the schema part is lacking. So let's now move on to the NoSQL database, which stands for not only SQL. Here NoSQL does not all the time means that there is no structured query language over here. It means that there are other things apart from this structured query language also. And NoSQL is a term used to describe high performance non-relational database which typically do not enforce a schema, and the performance here is mainly dependent on the underlying hardware and not on the optimization of the queries as in the relational database system, and everything is here is depending on the hardware that is underlying, and we can scale it out using the hardware as per our convenience to increase the throughput without increase the latency. Also, the NoSQL database often trades some of the ACID properties of traditional relational database management system for a flexible data model that scales horizontally, which makes it an ideal solution in order to handle uh, large data and scaling requirements. The examples of the various NoSQL databases are: in the column type, it is Cassandra. In document type NoSQL database, we have MongoDB, Couchbase, and for the key value type NoSQL database, we have Dynamo. As in AWS, DynamoDB is also there, and for the graphical type of NoSQL database, we have the OrientDB. So these are the mainly overview of the differences between the SQL and NoSQL databases. If you like the video, then please go ahead and like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.